Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Just going to get chat started here. So again, this week I just didn't have enough time to come up with anything, so we're just going to do a live stream on the fly, and usually everybody gets in here about 15 to 20 minutes after the live stream starts, so we'll just try and keep everybody entertained that is watching this back. But yeah, we got a few cars out this week, and we got a few more in. Again, we're trying to get to 10,000 subs on this channel. We're almost there. And I'm going to be giving away a signed Hot Wheels and a Andreas shirt. So if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. See, it's saying it's about 50 degrees out. When I left the house this morning, it was down in the 30s. You can hear my heat kicking on. I'll turn it off if it becomes too distracting, but again, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, and I want to thank you all for joining me here this morning, and hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Got a few people in here. What's everybody working on today? So we got a 944 turbo out that was running rough. We ended up having to remove the afterburner kit that was on there. We believe the best that we could test was that the MAF was no longer working and we couldn't find a replacement, so we went back with the stock injectors and everything, and so that's what went home this week. And we got another car in. We got appears to be a sapphire blue 86 944 turbo, and it's just getting a lot of odds and ends done. I haven't brought it into the shop yet because I've got to get a few things out. Got a lot of stuff going to paint, so today I'm just in the shop working on assembling some engines, and a lot of times I'll give you this for instance. So this is just laying around behind me, but this is what a lot of these parts come to us looking like. And then I don't have one that's in the in-between phase right now, but basically we take a part like that, turn it into a part like this, and then when we get it back, it becomes a part like this. So this is after it's been treated. We get all the rust off of it. And then we send it to the plater and it comes back like that. For the aluminum parts, we just clean everything up best we can. And I have a head over there if you guys would like to see some of the progress that we're making. But yeah, we just clean stuff up. A lot goes into the cleaning process. Get it back, and then we have basically a brand new engine. So like I said, it takes a little while for everybody to get in here. It starts rolling about 15 minutes in the live stream. And we start getting more questions, typically. About the time I end the live streams, about the time when I'm starting to get a lot more questions. But I try and end after about an hour, somewhere around 45 minutes to an hour. So that way I can get back to work. But just like touch base with everybody, see what they're doing, and answer questions where I can. Let's see. Grab this over here. So yeah, essentially we start with something like this, and then we turn it into this. Take all the bolts and do the same process. So I've got a large bucket of stuff that I've got to send off to be plated later this week. I'm trying to get that done. So yeah, a lot of times I'll sit here for about 15 minutes and then I'll think no one's going to show up. And then that's when I start getting asked a bunch of questions. But by that time, we're out of time. So yeah, so this is a bag of nuts that we've had replated. You can see more stuff down here. So we have a lot of stuff already plated. That's going to be put on engines that we're building, but I still have a lot of stuff that I need to plate. It's kind of a mess in here today. Well, it's a mess in here every day, but let's see. Some of the stuff that's ready to be plated here, and this is rusty stuff that we've still got to treat. So that is the project for today. Get all that stuff treated. I'm also working on cleaning up a manual steering rack shaft. So what did everybody do for Thanksgiving? See some of the cars behind me. Got the torque tube out of this car behind us. Getting ready to send that off. We also have the fuel tank out. We're going to have it pressure tested. We have the fuel tank, the replacement one, back in this car now. We got the transmission sealed up and it's getting ready to go back in. Still waiting on a radiator for this one. Almost got the interior back together. Suspension's going back in the 968 now. We have the brakes and everything that are getting ready to go on as soon as we do that. Got a lot more cars outside, but it's pretty cold today, so I've got to go out there and work on some stuff later, but I'm going to try and do all this other stuff first while it's cold. Maybe it'll warm up later. Is there anything in particular you guys would like to see? Someone had asked me about changing the odometer gear in an early 944. So I may make a video on that later on. The hardest part is to get the bezel off. I've never had any good luck getting it off and making it look good, but there are companies out there that actually have a tool that will take it off and put it back on and make it look a lot better. So it's probably best to send those off if you're trying to make sure it looks good. I usually have a few of those early gauges laying around, and maybe I could do one on the stream today. What happens with the odometer gears in the early cars is that the gear doesn't break like the later ones. They just sort of slide back on the shaft and they're no longer making contact with anything. So you just slide it forward and put some glue on there and hold it in place better. But I know I have some at the other shop, but I don't know that I have any here. Like almost everything that I have here is all the later ones. Seems like everybody's shy today. Sometimes I don't know whether the chat's working or not. That has happened before. But sometimes people just want to watch and don't have anything to say, and that's fine. You're all welcome here. I was hoping to have footage from our Helen meet this year for you guys, but it's been a crazy week around here and at home trying to do stuff. So I finally got home last night. It was late, and I forgot all about throwing that stuff together, and then ended up trying to finish something I've been working on for a few years at home, a little project of mine. So that's where the time went. Still didn't finish it, but it's getting there. I'm wanting to have it done by the end of the month, but maybe I'll get that done and I'll have more time to spend doing some live streams for you guys. Many times we just make the best of these live streams. A lot of guys enjoy just asking questions and stuff. Like I said, about the time I'm getting ready to log off, I'll give myself 45 minutes here and 45 minutes to an hour, and then people start coming in about then and asking questions, and that's when I got to run. So I try not to have too many slow times on these things. tell stories or whatever, but you know, try and make it a little bit more entertaining for the people that aren't watching it live. But if it gets a little too boring, then there's always a ton of other live stuff to watch and a ton of other videos. So yeah, it's been about 15 minutes, and like I said, that's pretty much what I'm working on today. I can show you some of the engine parts here that we're assembling. It's kind of hard because I'm just holding the laptop. I trust it more than using the phone because it might just disconnect. You can see these tubs over here are what I'm doing today. That's the stuff that I've got to get prepared for plating. So all that stuff's got to go in those buckets, and then once it's cleaned, I move them to other buckets, and then I come back they'll go to the plater, and they'll come back, and then we sort everything over here. So that's what all that mess is over here. And then right here, I'm building an engine, and I mentioned the transmission, and we got a tank back there I had to replace, so that's probably going to go in the trash. But you can see a lot of stuff going on at once. But let's see. This is an engine that we're building. One of them, we have 4 of them. And here's some of the parts. You can see that the aluminum is cleaned up and looks brand new. Here's the oil pan. If you can see the oil pan, let's see. That's the oil pan. You can see some of the stuff that we plated here. So these are what the parts are going to look like that go back on, but the aluminum stays raw. We do treat it so that way it doesn't corrode, but it has a very nice finish on it when we're done. Looks factory, no need to paint it. Have a nice little coating on it. It's proprietary. More plated parts. So basically all the bolts and everything are redone. Heads are rebuilt. Everything will look like a brand new engine. Alex says, just watching, listening to learn more about the 944 platform. Might work on the plumbing of a MK60 V5 and the race car today. Happy to hear about the tank going back in. Oh, great. Yeah. So far, no leaks on that tank. We put that 928's RS little plug in there. I don't know what to call it. It's just a little piece that takes the place of the sleeve that was in there, and filled it with water, filled it all the way up so that way the weight of the water could try and push it out. If it was going to leak, it's going to leak. I think water weighs more than fuel, just a little more, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I just filled it up, watched it for like a whole weekend, no leaks. And so now we're just going to hope that it holds fuel. But so far, so good. I mean, it's tested. That's all we can really do. I said the transmission's all back together now. I do want to clean it up a little bit because it's pretty dirty. But yeah, I just got to put the rear cap back on it. I ordered that. And then the exhaust can go back on, and we put all this back together and make it look good, and when finally started up. So you have any questions about the 944 lineup in particular? I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about it, but I've been here in forums for 20 something years, and I've read up quite a bit of it, and I've seen things firsthand working on these things for 20 years. So I'll try and help where I can. So I'd like to do a video on, I was reading a comment, but I'd like to do a video on like the differences between a turbo and an NA model, but everything in the shop is turbo except the 968, which will be turbo. So essentially everything here is turbo. Everything outside is turbo. I think I got one late NA, but really the one I want to do is a differences between the early cars and the later cars, and then maybe bring the turbo into that. So Kevin said, checking in on your work. I got some things to do on my 88 924 SE, wheel bearings, brakes. So, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we pretty much do everything here. We got some cars getting ready to go to paint. So, I mean, we do pretty much everything. New seats are in this car that we did. Not really much we do. Ground up, full engine rebuilds, any way you want them. So, for instance, with this red car back here, that red car came in just needing a few odds and ends, but then we found that the engine had a lot of damage from, not sure exactly, but you could stick your finger down between the pistons and the walls. That was how bad it was. So couldn't leave it like that. So we tore the engine apart, and rather than opting for like a high-end rebuild like some of these guys do to get all new plated parts, he just wanted it cleaned up and put back together. So that's what you see. It still looks pretty much the way. It looks a little bit better than it did when it came in, but you can see that we just put everything back together the way it was. It doesn't need a new radiator. We got the radiator back in there, had a leak, had to tear everything back apart. So we put another radiator in there. That one leaks. So we're just leaving it like that so we don't have to tear everything back apart again. So got to put another one in there. We're just going to have to probably go with a new one at this point. We break cars too. So many times we just try and use used parts, especially on a build like that. But every single radiator that I had apparently had the same leak. So had the same leak as his had. So not really much we can do in that point. So just go ahead and get him a new radiator, put it in, and be done with it. But we do a lot of stuff like send torque tubes out. I said we do the high-end rebuilds of stuff like this. So everything is cleaned and looks better than new. What year is the NA? The one that I mentioned outside, I believe it's in, I think it's an 87. I'd have to look again. 87 or 88, it's probably 87. We can walk around and look at some of the cars outside if you guys are interested. A little chilly. It's warmed up a bit. I said I'm trying to work in the shop where it's warm. There's a lot I could knock out outside, but oh yeah, I also have an 85 and a half and an 86 NA here. But the only one that runs is the gray one there. Yeah, it's definitely warmed up out here. So now we probably have, let's see, I got 6 in the shops. Well, 15 cars here. Getting all sorts of different stuff done. All right, guys. Well, if you got any questions for me, I'll hang in here for a few more minutes. But I'll make this brief. Try and come back next week, some more interesting stuff. Maybe I'll either have something set up that we can look at, or we can look at some of the Helen Meat videos from this past year. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming to hang out. I'll let you get back to it. I realize a lot of people are traveling this week, but let's see. One more comment says, need to get my son's 87 944 over to you for engine seals. He graduates college in May. How booked up are you? I'd like to. I've got about 2 more cars coming in, but I should have some stuff going out. Send me an email. Go over to my website, Andreas.com, and there'll be a place to contact me, and that's the best way to do it. So that way I actually can keep track of your email, so that way it doesn't get lost. If you text me sometimes, it'd come up as an unknown number, and then it's figuring out who it's from and so on and so forth. But a lot of times if you text me, it's through a Google thing, so it doesn't always come through. So send me an email, put your name on there, what you'd like to have done, and since it's in May, it shouldn't be a problem to do the front of engine seals and stuff. We'll probably do that in a couple of weeks. Should have it done in time, even if it is a little bit behind. But if it needs a rear main seal and stuff, that's going to take a little bit more time. But yeah, just hit me up and let me know, and we'll try and figure something out. Alex said, are there any typical chassis failure weak points that should be reinforced early versus late chassis? We see a lot on B&Ws. Not really seeing any. So on European cars, if there's any guys out here with those, we see a lot of the floorboards rotting and the seals rotting, and you'll see that sometimes in the northern cars, but down here in the south, no. I mean, I've seen bent chassis, but they were from an accident, but I don't really see anything like that. Floor pans are pretty strong. Well, okay, battery trays are pretty common, but that's not really a structural chassis weak point. That's just, I would say maybe 1 out of 10 cars have battery tray. It's common, but it's not every 944 out there. You can find 944s that have perfectly nice pans. I've even scrapped cars that had perfect pans. We just cut them out for the next car. But yeah, in our time doing this, we probably replaced 10 trays out of like hundreds of cars. So nothing that is a weak point though. But with a car like that, probably won't see anything like that. So Kurt asked, what would you recommend for upholstery shops in our area? I want to get my early sport seats redone. You can actually buy those, and the reason why I say to do this is I am not endorsing or in any way affiliated with them, but this is where we get a lot of our upholstery. It's only944.com. And the reason why I say that is because they make a lot of this stuff, and it's pretty accurate. Every now and then you might get something that's a little off, but you can probably send it back to them and get it. So it might have a little bit of a wrinkle in it, but theirs are pretty good. Like, unless we're doing something that's a specific fabric, like if someone wants the script Porsche seats, or they're needing, a color or a fabric that they don't make over there, then we have someone that'll do it for us. But outside of that, if it's just, your car just has the black seats with leather, then you can just order those. They're pretty cheap. You got to get them in 30 days beforehand, and you can just do it yourself. It's pretty easy. If some of the padding's gone, then their padding's like built into it. So as long as it's not like really, really gone, then even then, like, we have foam here that we just cut it back, and then we'll add new foam and shape it and gluing it in. So we could do it for you, or I can find you an upholsterer. I know someone that does the stuff, but for the most part, like, if you're just changing the skins of the seats, then you can just do that yourself if you want to. It's not really that hard. No problem, Kevin. We'll see you next time. So, for an example, we've done quite a few seats, and this is some only 944 seats. I realize you have the early sport seats, but those are only 944s there, and they look great. You spend way more at an upholstery shop trying to have them custom make them, because they'd have to rip everything apart, measure everything, sew it all back together, and only then do you find out that something's not quite exactly right. Yeah, they're pretty good. We order a lot from them. Like I said, if it's something specific that the customer needs, then we have someone that'll do it for us. But if it's just a generic black seat that needs perforations, we just order it from them. Yeah, they look really good. They're a great fit. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out. I'm going to get off here. I think I'll go have lunch. Have a great weekend, and don't forget, we're going to try and push to 10,000 subs. I'm giving away a t-shirt and a Hot Wheels that'll be signed and customized, well, specifically signed to you guys. But anyway, gonna get back to work here and go have lunch. So you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.